The first ever Tailwind live event took place a couple of weeks back, and it's now more clear than ever that Tailwind is becoming one of the best solutions for building UIs. Granted, working with it might feel a bit weird at first, especially if you are used to working with plain old CSS directly. However, there is a reason Tailwind CSS has more than 25 million downloads per month and is used in more than 5 million projects on GitHub, with big companies like Netflix, Shopify or OpenAI betting on it. In this video, we'll explore Tailwind's main selling points, and, in order to do that, we should review the motivation and reasoning behind the CSS framework. In general, the dev community is divided when it comes to Tailwind CSS. In all honesty, I was also reluctant when I first encountered it, because, let's face it, the dev experience takes a hit whenever you have to maintain HTML markup, which contains tons of utility classes. But once you understand the benefits of this new approach, you'll learn to live with the drawbacks. Let me explain. What's the most difficult thing to achieve when working with CSS? At least in my experience, reusability. It all starts great on paper, but once the project grows in size, your CSS becomes a mess, and reusing classes and styling rules is the least of your concerns. This is also outlined in the Tailwind Connect keynote, where Adam points to a very interesting article written all the way back in 2012, where the idea of decoupling class names from the actual content was first pioneered. Okay, but what does this actually mean? Most of the time, you would use class names such as this one to style a customer profile component. There is nothing wrong with this, right? Visually, this is a customer profile, so it is only natural to name it accordingly. Well, not really. By linking your styling to the content, you are decreasing the reusability chances of your CSS rules. Even though visually some of those components can be reused in a provider profile component, it's going to be weird to name that component customer profile. So you'll end up renaming your classes to something more general, like generic profile, or you'll duplicate some of the CSS rules. The proven better option that Tailwind CSS proposes is to name this component based on what it represents visually. So, in this case, a card. This simple shift in looking at things is going to fully decouple your styling from your content. As a result, you'll be able to reuse your CSS rules and compose utility classes to achieve custom effects whenever needed. This slight adjustment in the way you think about styling components might not feel natural at first, but I'm fairly certain you did this in past projects regardless of the CSS approach you used. You don't believe me? Think about the most basic interactive component there is, the button. I can bet most of you guys have a button class in your code and variations like button large or button primary. You don't name your app buttons register or subscribe, right? They are all buttons with different variations regardless of the function they achieve in the actual workflow. This concept is the core idea behind Tailwind. So why are people using Tailwind CSS? I don't believe it's the no CSS promise, nor the prototype fast mantra. At the end of the day, Tailwind CSS solves a real problem. CSS grows in size and complexity, and is becoming more difficult to maintain and reuse over time. It's not Tailwind itself that gets people excited, but the idea of styling apps in a more maintainable manner. Coincidentally, Tailwind implements this idea the best, and comes with a bunch of other great features on top of everything else. Oh, by the way, Adam does a way better job than me explaining this, so be sure to check the actual keynote if you have an hour to spare. You'll get a glimpse into some of the future projects and additions the Tailwind CSS team is working on. Share your opinion about Tailwind in the comments, and until next time, thank you for watching.